Hello and welcome to another Borrowing Benefits group here at the Center for Inner Healing. My name is Ted Robinson, and we have a small group, as we always do, but it's always an intimate group, and we get a lot done, and we hope that you'll tap right along with us. We start the same way every time, and if you don't know how to do EFT yet, and you're just coming across this video for the first time, what you do is go to Ted Robinson EFT on YouTube, and you'll find a number of other videos, some of which actually teach you to do EFT. We don't do it in this group right now because everybody here is an old hand at it, and so it just takes more time than we need to spend on it right now. So if you don't know how to do it yet, you can just follow along, or you can go to one of those videos and learn it on the tutorials, okay? So here we go. We always start the same way with resistance to change. We're going to start right now. And we're going to start tapping on the side of the hand by saying, even though I know I'm resistant to change, I don't care anymore. I'm not going to change, it seems. Because I've been trying to change. And it's not working. That must mean that I'm really resistant to change. And when I really think about it, I know it's true. I am extremely resistant to change. But I love and accept myself no matter what. Top of the head. We start with, say, I'm really resistant to change. I don't like change. I'm afraid of change. And so what? I'm resistant to change. It just seems like change is too difficult for me. It is too difficult for me. Everybody else can change but me. I can't change, it seems. I'll never be able to change. That's my greatest fear. What I don't realize, however, this is all about my ego. That set of thoughts in my mind that shows up as my little voice in the back of my head, constantly talking to me, talking to myself, that part is my ego. And that part does not want to change. It's afraid of change. It doesn't like change. It hates chaos. It wants to know what's coming all the time. And change is one thing that you never know what's coming. And that's the problem. My ego wants to know what's coming. And that's the opposite of liking change. So I am resistant to change. My ego is actually resistant to change. I am the consciousness behind the ego. I realize my ego is resistant to change. And I now choose to start making changes regardless. I choose to start accepting change in my life. I choose to invite change into my life. And as it arrives, I accept and embrace it. I accept and embrace change all the time from now on. I intend upon doing that from this day forward. Change is the one true constant in life. And I will not stand against it any longer. Instead, I will embrace change fully and completely. Hands down, nice deep breath. And let it out. So that's a start. I'm reading Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle. I don't know how to say his name exactly. I like Tolle, but he says Tolle or something like that. Whatever it is. Eckhart Tolle. And he's been making a good impact upon me because he's pointing out that the ego is just a bunch of thoughts. It's all the thoughts that you ever had to protect yourself with. And it forms a certain belief system that we then call our ego. But it's not an actual entity, it's just the way we think about things. And when we finally realize that those thoughts are not who we are, because we tend to think that we are our mind, because we've been conditioned to use our mind in every circumstance. When we start to realize that we're not our mind, that we're actually the consciousness behind the mind, you understand? That's when we make the breakthroughs. So when you can see your ego mind making judgments about this one or that one, or even about yourself, that's when you are the watcher. I always put my hand up here because I say it's sort of like having an extra set of eyes up here watching the ego. But when you start to see the ego for what it's doing, how it's judging everything, how it's stuck in the past and the future, that's when you start making the breakthrough to becoming truly conscious, because you suddenly realize, hey, I'm not that. I'm this. Well, what's this? Consciousness. And that's where we're going with this whole thing. That's the whole point of doing all this. EFT, hypnosis, whatever you want to call it, it's always for the same reason, to awaken from this dream we've been stuck in for most of our lives, called our ego mind. Enough lecture, I just wanted to share that with you.
How do you tell the ego to shut up?
No, not a good idea. You don't want to tell the ego to shut up. What you do want to do is you want to work with the ego. The ego is there to help you. The ego loves you and wants to protect you for its own self-preservation. It doesn't realize that you, that is your consciousness, is immortal. It doesn't realize that. And it doesn't much care. All it knows is that it is mortal. It's going to die with the body because it's part of the mind. So it wants to maintain its life, so to speak, as long as it can. So regardless of what you may want to do, it wants to keep going because that's how it stays alive. It's your mind. You are the soul. You are the consciousness behind the mind and body. That goes on forever. That's the immortal part. But the problem is we always tend to identify with the mind and body instead of the soul. If we can just make that subtle yet profound shift to being the soul versus the body and mind, we can really overcome all of it instantly. It's just that it's kind of a tough road for most of us because we're...
Easier said than done.
Well, that's right. But the idea of doing these little lectures in between all this stuff, for me, is to try to give you a context within which we're working. So that when you realize, oh, you mean when I see my ego doing that, that means that that's who I really am, the part that's seeing and listening and watching and is aware of what the ego just did. Oh, look at that, my ego. That's why if you've noticed, I've been changing my languaging. I'm saying my ego doesn't like that. But I happen to love that. So like when Teresa gives me suggestions or critiques on things, my ego is like, and I say to her, I says, boy, I love that. But my ego hates it, but I love it. Now, the reason I'm doing that so consistently is because I want to make sure that I keep remembering that I am not my ego. Because we tend to just fall into it because we've always thought of ourselves as our minds, right? Making sense? You already knew all this, I know. Doesn't hurt to hear it one more time. And for me, it's good because I get to say it and then I get to relearn it every time I say it. This is for you out there if you have the same kind of issue or if you have a different issue. Here's all you do. Whatever your issue is, give it some words right now. And the best way to do that is to put yourself in the picture of it, as you heard somebody else saying here. You know, I have this going on, I have that going on, and I'm frozen with fear. Listen for the words, the title to your topic, and then just use your words. I'll be saying from time to time, say your words, and when I do, you'll hear them saying their own individual words. And from then on, I'll come right back to tapping again and just follow along. That's about it, right? Here we go. We're going to say, even though I am frozen with fear,
even though I am frozen with fear,
I love and accept myself nonetheless.
I love and accept myself nonetheless.
I don't love or accept myself.
I don't love or accept
I
myself.
can't make my mind up as to what I'm going to do,
I can't make my mind up as to what I'm going to do,
where I'm going to go,
where I'm going to go,
what my life is going to be like,
what my life is going to be
and I'm
like.
totally disrupted.
Totally disrupted.
I'm anxious and worried,
anxious from work.
and I think my whole life is going down the tubes.
I think my whole life is going down the tubes.
And the fear of all of that is overwhelming.
Fear of all that is overwhelming.
And I don't think I'm going to love or accept myself ever.
I don't think I'm going to love or accept myself ever.
But I'm doing the best I can just to get through it.
Doing the best I can just to get through it.
And I'm really fearful I won't get through it.
Really fearful I won't get through it.
Here we go, top of the head. So I have a lot of fear.
I have a lot of fear.
I've got 2 months to move,
I've got 2 months to move.
and I don't know where I'm going to go.
I don't
I don't know
know
where
where
I'm
I don't know
going.
what I'm going to do.
I don't know what
Should
I'm
I
gonna
buy
do.
a house or should I rent?
Should I buy a house or rent?
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
I've got other people who rely upon me all the time.
Other people rely on me.
I want to retire. I have to
I
retire.
have to retire.
And I don't know what I'm going to do then.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I won't have as much money.
I won't have as much
I
money.
won't be able to make a living, I'm afraid.
I won't be able to make a
And
living.
everybody else is still relying upon me.
Everybody relies
And
on
I'm
me.
getting older.
And I'm getting
And it's
older.
not getting easier.
It's not getting
And I
easier.
hate getting up in the morning now.
I hate getting
I
up in the
hate
morning.
traffic.
I hate traffic.
Just getting here took me an hour.
Just
getting here.
Traffic is horrendous in this area,
Traffic is horrendous.
and I hate my life.
I hate my
I
life.
can't stand what I'm doing,
Can't stand
stand
and I don't know what I'm going to do in the
I
future.
don't know what I'm
But
gonna
whatever I'm going to do,
Whatever I'm gonna do.
I'm sure I'm going to hate that too.
I'm
sure I'm gonna hate that.
That's how my life feels.
That's how my life
And it's
feels.
always felt that way.
I've always felt
And I don't even know
that
why I bother coming here, because nothing changes.
I don't know why I bother coming here.
Under the arms, say your words now. Say your words nice and
All
loudly.
this depression over this situation, my lack of passion, my lack
Top of the head, I'd like to change it, but I don't think I can,
I like to change
Change
it,
it,
I don't think I can.
because nothing seems to work.
Nothing seems to work.
And that's because I don't allow it.
That's because I don't allow
There's a
it.
part of me that's stuck in the past
Part of me that's stuck in the
and
past.
will not listen to anything I say or
Will
do.
not listen to anything I say.
It's my ego.
It's my ego.
And while my ego is trying to protect me,
My ego's trying to protect
it
me.
seems like it's killing me.
It seems like it's killing
And I'm
me.
really tired of it all.
Really
And I have no solutions in sight.
I have no solutions.
All I've got is more and more problems in
All
sight.
I've got is more and more problems.
And it's really troublesome.
It's really troubling.
Troubling all the time.
Troubling all the time.
And I don't know what to do about it.
I don't know what to do about it.
Under the nose and mouth. And I can't accept my life this way.
I
Can't accept my life.
Collarbone point, say your words, say your words.
All this depression from this lack of purpose and direction.
Under the armpits. I'm going to find a new way to be in this world.
I'm going to find a new way to be in this
And it's
world.
not going to be long.
Not gonna be
It's
long.
going to be happening soon.
It's going to be happening soon.
Hands down, nice deep breath. And let it out. Okay. So you should be feeling some yawning. You hear some yawning going on here. What's your number now?
11.
7?
11.
11. Now it's 11. Okay. So it went up.
Yeah.
So I focused you even better on it.
I'm feeling more nervous.
Feeling worse than you were. So what's changed? What's come up now?
I just feel it here. No, I'm nervous.
So you're
Nervous,
feeling it in your
nervous,
stomach?
Nervous.
Okay. Good.
Anxious.
Good. Okay. How are you feeling?
I'm at the same number, and unless it's a different aspect of the issue, and my head is tense.
Your head is what?
Tense.
Tense. Okay, so you say, even though,
Even
Even
though.
though.
now you've gone and done it,
Now you've gone and done
you
it.
made it worse.
You made it worse.
I didn't come here to have it be made worse.
I didn't
Come here to have it be
I don't want it worse.
I don't
I
I want it
worse.
better.
I want it better.
Why do I come here otherwise?
Why do I come here otherwise?
But the fact of the matter is,
Fact of the matter
it's
is,
changing,
It's changing.
and that's a good sign.
That's a good
I'm feeling it within my body now.
Feeling it within my body.
I'm feeling it in my stomach area.
Feeling it in my
I'm
stomach.
feeling it in my head.
Feeling it in my head.
I'm feeling it in my whole body right now.
Feeling it in my whole body.
And that means it's moving.
And that means
It's showing itself more clearly.
It's showing itself.
And now I can address it directly.
And now I can direct it.
This pain in my body,
This pain in my body.
this discomfort in my body,
This discomfort.
and I know what it's about.
And I know what it's about.
And it's not even about what I thought it was about.
It's not even about what I thought.
It's something even deeper.
It's something even
I don't have to consciously know what it is,
I don't have to consciously
but my body and mind know already.
But my body and mind know already.
Here we go, top of the head. So this discomfort in my body,
This discomfort in
I'm
my
feeling
body.
it in my head,
Feeling it in
I'm
my
feeling
head.
it in my gut,
Feeling it in my
I'm
gut.
feeling it in my stomach,
Feeling it in my stomach.
and it's just getting worse.
Just getting
I thought I was coming here to feel better,
I thought I was coming
and
here
I'm
to
feeling worse instead.
I'm
feeling worse instead.
And I can't stand this.
And I can't
I
stand
thought you were going to help me, not hurt
You're gonna
me,
help me, don't hurt me.
and now I'm feeling worse.
Now I feel
It's
worse.
all your fault.
It's all your fault.
It has to be your fault.
It has to be your fault.
I don't know what's going to happen now.
I don't know what's going to happen.
My body is suffering.
My body.
My mind is suffering.
My mind is
I am suffering.
I am suffering.
And I want this to be over.
And I want this to
I
be
want to be better.
I want to be
But
better.
I don't see that happening tonight.
I don't see it happening
tonight.
Side of the hand. And I want it. I want it tonight.
I want it tonight.
Hands down, nice deep breath. How are you feeling now? Same? A little better?
A little better.
A little better. How's the stomach?
I can feel tension.
That's okay, that's fine. You know this is a process. As long as it goes into the body, we're in pretty good shape because it's moving.
My heart is beating faster.
How's your head feeling?
A little better.
A little better?
Maybe
Okay.
it's an 8, 7.
A lot of 8 or 7, and your number is still around a 10.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit less, okay. And what are your words tonight?
I don't have an agenda.
Yeah.
She looks too happy, let's kill her.
Yeah.
Get her out of here. You're ruining our night.
She looks too happy.
So
Let's
nice
kill
to
her.
see you. Really, I mean that.
Thank you.
I know you do. You're sweet.
Thank you.
Actually, you look in a very good mood.
With your support, I have become a nicer person. For
Well,
sure.
I'm sure that was always in you. It's just coming out. That's all. What we're doing with EFT, as you know, and this is more for the camera than anything else, is we're sort of slicing off the parts we didn't want
Yeah.
and finding the jewel that's always been there all along. And so you're just getting more jewel-like all the time. Diamond in the rough. All right. But now we're getting to be the diamond.
Awesome.
So what are your words tonight? Or what's your issue tonight if you have one? You don't have to have one, by
I
the way.
do actually have a few. They're more like physical issues. But I guess really right now, because I just have such resistance to the heat.
To the what?
The heat and
The
the
heat.
humidity. I just would like to tap on how uncomfortable I feel sweating. And I feel like I sweat too much and it makes me feel embarrassed and it's uncomfortable and
Okay,
feel overheated. I just feel very physically uncomfortable.
I've got the words for you.
What?
I feel like a sweat hog. That covers it all.
Okay.
See how that works for you.
Okay.
See how that works for you. Because it's got a lot of derogatoriness to it, and that's what you want to have in that
Yeah.
thing. So that's. And by the way,
It feels dirty.
yeah, for the camera's sake, for those out there watching this, when I say something like that, it's not to be nasty or ugly to her. It's to actually trigger her where she's coming from. So we always try to go actually beyond where they're feeling, wherever anybody's feeling, and make it worse. And the reason we do that is so we can actually block the meridians more so that we can get better results overall, because many times people don't feel the full extent of their blockage, and what we're doing is actually adding to it so we get more out of it, and then when they finally get to a 0, they've really gotten much, much more than they would have otherwise. If you just say, well, I feel a 3 or a 4, that's great, but I'd much rather have you feeling an 8 or a 9 or 10. And so just by using that kind of a word of sweat hog, it's got a lot of connotations that are pretty negative, especially when you're a woman and you'd feel dirty and gritty from being in the city all day and it's hot and sweaty. I feel embarrassed and humiliated. All that stuff plays into, I feel like a sweat hog. And so that's the purpose in doing all that. I'm just saying this for the viewers. How are we feeling, Lynn?
Tired.
Tired. Well, that's a good sign. That's good. Okay, so we're going to say, even though
Even though.
No.
I'm resistant to letting this go.
I'm
resistant to letting this go.
I'm resistant to all change.
I'm resistant to all.
I don't want to change anything in reality.
I don't want to change anything in reality.
Even when I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to really change.
Even when I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to really change.
At least I know how to feel in my discomfort.
At least I know how to feel in my discomfort.
I don't know how I would feel if I had no discomfort.
I don't know how I would feel if I had.
I don't know what I would be like if I was happy.
I don't know what I'd be like if I was
It's
happy.
been so long
It's been so long.
since I've been happy.
That's
Since
how
I've been
I don't really think I'll ever be happy again.
I don't think I'll ever be happy again.
This is perfect for you, by the way. Because my life has been sucking my whole life.
My life has been sucking my whole life.
And that's the way it feels to me.
That's
the way it feels.
It's very real to me.
Very real to
It
me.
may not be real at all,
It may not be real.
but that's how it feels to me,
That's how it feels.
which is all that's important.
That's all that's important.
Here we go, top of the head. So my life does suck,
My life does suck.
and I'm not willing to let it go.
And I'm not willing to let it
I
go.
play the victim really well.
I play the victim really
And then
well.
if I get out of the problem,
And if I get out of
whatever the problem is,
whatever the problem
I
is,
go find another problem.
I
go find another
I
problem.
have a way,
I have a
an
way.
instinct
instinct
for finding new problems.
Finding new problems.
And maybe it's because I'm a problem solver.
Maybe because I'm a problem.
I'm really good at solving problems.
I'm really good at solving.
But as a result, I find more all the time.
As a result, I find more all the
This is
time.
all my ego at work,
This is all my ego.
trying to prove how effective it is.
Trying to prove how
Trying to show that I really need it.
Trying to show that
And I do.
I do.
But I wish I could get beyond it.
I wish I could get beyond
I
it.
want to get beyond it.
I
I will get beyond it.
I will get
My
beyond
ego
it.
is not going to control my life any longer.
My ego is not going to control my life.
Who are you kidding?
Who are you?
I am your ego. And I will never let go. I will never let you go.
I will never let
You will always work on my behalf.
You will always work on my behalf.
You will listen to my voice,
You will listen to my
thinking
voice,
it's your own,
thinking it's
when
your
in
own.
reality it is me.
In reality,
Your
it's me.
ego.
Your ego.
I am your ego. I am not happy unless you're unhappy.
I'm not happy unless you're unhappy.
It doesn't matter what happens,
Doesn't matter.
as long as you need me.
As long as you need me.
You need me, you know.
You need me.
I am your ego,
I'm your ego.
and I need to be needed.
And I need to be needed.
Say your words, please, on the eyebrow point. Say your words.
Lack of passion and lack of purpose and lack of direction.
Side of the eyes.
Ambition's got me so.
If you knew what was needed, you wouldn't need me.
If you know what was needed, you wouldn't need.
If you listened to the true inner voice,
you listen to the true inner
you
voice,
would know what was needed.
you would know.
But you've been so accustomed to listening to your inner talking voice,
You're so accustomed to listening to the inner talking voice,
which is really me, your ego,
which is really me, your ego.
that you've forgotten.
You
You don't know who you speak, who you're listening to.
You don't know who you're listening to.
It's me,
It's me.
your ego.
Your
Your
ego.
ego.
And I need to be needed.
And I need to be needed.
It's what I call job security.
It's what I call job security.
As long as you need me, I'm safe.
As long as you need me, I'm safe.
The minute you realize you don't need me,
The minute you realize you don't.
I'm afraid you'll discard me.
I'm afraid you'll
That's why I keep you in such conflict all the time.
That's why I keep you.
That's why I keep you in such chaos all the time.
That's why I keep you.
That's why I keep you unhappy so much of the time.
That's why I keep you unhappy so much.
Because all those
Because
things
all those things
lead you to listening to me.
Lead you to listening to me.
And that's what I want.
That's
I
what
want you to listen to me.
I want you to
I want to
listen
be in control
I want to be
because
in
I
control.
don't think you're capable of controlling your life.
I don't think you're capable of controlling.
You're in the now.
You're
You're in the present.
You're in the
You don't understand what's coming.
You don't understand.
I understand what's about to happen.
I understand.
Okay, I'm not always right,
Okay.
but I'm right a lot of the time.
Right, a lot of
That's why you listen to me so much.
That's why you listen to me so much.
Problem is,
Problem
by
is,
listening to me about the future all the time,
By listening to me about the future all the time.
I bring it about.
I bring it
You
about.
bring it about.
You bring
You
it
actually think yourself into all those problems.
about. You actually think yourself into all those.
And then again, you need me.
Then you need me.
Isn't it great?
Isn't it
It's
great?
like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So keep listening to me, for I am your ego.
Keep listening to me, for I am your ego.
And I'll keep finding conflict for you.
I'll keep finding conflict for you.
And keep you in my crosshairs.
Keep you in my crosshairs.
Hands down, nice deep breath. Would you forget how it felt? You forget how it feels doing this?
Yeah,
How are you feeling now?
it's getting tired, I could go to sleep.
You can go to
I
sleep?
feel about it.
Then you're actually making great headway, whether you know it or
Yeah,
not.
I know.
You know that. Your resistance to coming here, and I'm not trying to sell you on coming here, but I'm just trying to point out that the resistance for not coming, there's all kinds of reasons, I understand that, we all have them. But it's because you really don't want to address this. It's just too difficult for your ego to accept. It wouldn't be needed as much. But you're a great problem solver. You have all kinds of drama in your life from your kids and their friends and this one and that one. And even the landlord, always the drama. It's got to be coming from somewhere.
Where?
You. You draw it to you because you focus on it. It's the law of attraction in action. It is.
Oh, you think I'm focusing on it?
Well, yeah, I do. But you focus on it from a negative point of view, like, almost like I'm a victim all the time. They get to go on vacation, I don't. They get to buy a house, I don't. I'm going back. I'm going back to the things.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is it's the focus, and then finding ways for that to not happen so you can continue to feel that way. The ego drives that.
How do I stop that focusing? How do I stop noticing what's in front of my face?
I'll tell you how.
It's not something I'm making up. It's
Well, there was an email I sent out today, or yesterday, so today I guess it was.
today it was.
It was called Pessimism to Optimism in 21 Days. And I decided to follow my own advice. As I was driving out to court today, I said, well, I'll just be grateful for three things, because that was the practice. Three new things to be grateful for every day for the next 21 days.
I started doing that once and I just stopped.
Well, I know, that's the problem, because the ego gets a hold and says, we don't want to do that because I live on problems. I exist for problems. I'm a problem solver. That's what the ego does. It knows how to solve the problems. So the idea is to learn how to be grateful. And what happens if you go back and read the article, seriously, I mean, I took a little time to write it. But the reason for it is because when you're grateful for things, the universe brings more of what you're grateful about. One of the greatest quotes in there was, gratitude is the most sincere form of prayer. And so, and Course in Miracles.
I'm always grateful. I did a little thing happens, I did thank you. I can find a pocket if I thank you, God. I have a good
Well,
day
that's
at work,
fine.
Thank you.
That's fine. That's exactly what you need to do.
I don't
What I
write
was-
it down, but I say it.
What I was going to say was, as I was driving out to Central Islip today, I said, well, let me find some things to be grateful for. I'll just do 10 or 20. I had a hard time. I was like shocked. I said, oh, this means I really need to do this. And so I'm going to. I'm going to practice what I preach. But the idea is to be grateful each day for 3 new things, not the same things, 3 new things. And I remembered that years ago I used to say thank you, God, all the time. And every once in a while I still do, but in those days when I first learned it, boy, I was there every day. Thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. Oh, yeah, thank you, God. And then there's always the thought about, are you thankful for your bills? Are you thankful for the pitfalls of life? Are you thankful for the things that go wrong? And the answer to that is, well, that's the real test, isn't it? When you can thank God when shit happens, as they say. And if you can be, then you're starting to get beyond the ego, because then that's the watcher saying, look how the thing fell on your foot, you're going to be laid up for the next week or 2. Look at how you're going to be able to watch those videos you've been wanting to watch about spiritual growth, read those books or practice with this, meditate. You don't have to be in the rat race for the next 2 weeks, because you can legitimately get out of it. Thank you, God. Would that be tough?
Yeah.
We're going to do it right now, even though
Even though,
all my friends from when I was young
All my friends from when I was young
have houses and I have none.
have houses and I have none.
They take vacations and I can't.
They take vacations and I can't.
And there's a part of me
There's a part of
that
me
really envies them
that really envies
and
them.
is really sad that I'm not able to do those things.
It's really sad that I'm not able to
But the
do those
truth
things.
is,
The truth
is-
is,
I would have been able
I would have been able,
if I hadn't made the choices that I did in life.
if I hadn't made the choices that I did in life.
My choices were more important than their houses and their vacations.
My choices were more important than their houses and vacations.
I chose the best benefits of my children.
I chose the best benefits of my
They
children.
needed me,
They needed me,
and I was there for them.
and I was there for them.
They need me now,
They need me now,
and I'm there for them.
And I'm there for them.
But my ego's not happy.
the ego's not happy.
I don't have the life that all those other people have.
I don't have a life all those other people.
I have my life the way it is.
I have my life the way it is.
And so I have an internal conflict going on.
I have an internal conflict going on.
My ego wants it both ways,
My ego wants it both
and it
ways.
can't have it.
It can't have it.
So I need to make a choice, and I'm going to do that.
I need to make a choice and I'm going to do that.
Here we go, top of the head. So my ego is really unhappy at times
My ego's really unhappy.
when I see other people that I know
When I see other people
owning their own homes,
owning their own
and I can't do that.
And I can't do that.
When I see them taking vacations,
When I see them taking
and I
vacations,
can't do that.
and I can't do that.
Boy, am I unhappy with all that.
Boy, am I unhappy with
The
that.
fact of the matter is,
Fact of the matter is,
I made different choices in my life.
I made different choices.
I made choices that are very gratifying for me.
Choices that are very gratifying.
I chose to stay with my children
I chose to
and
stay
have
with
them stay with me.
And have them stay with
I've
me.
supported them,
I've supported them.
and I've loved them,
And I've loved them.
and I've had them in my life.
And I've had them in my life.
They've always been there with me,
They've always been there with me.
and I've been there with them.
And I've been there with them.
That's priceless.
And that's
priceless.
priceless.
And that's the price I paid.
And that's the price I paid.
But there's another part of me
There's another
that
part.
says, why did I do that? I could have had a house. I could have gone on vacation anywhere in the world,
Vacation anywhere.
and I did none of it.
And I did not.
Instead, I did this. I had my children live with me. I had my son-in-law live with me.
I had my son.
And I've done all kinds of things for other people.
And I've done all kinds of things.
Whenever somebody's in need, I'm there for them.
Whenever someone's in need.
I do what they need and I move on.
I do what I need.
And there's the other part of my mind that comes in
There's the other part of my mind.
and said, you know, if you didn't do that,
No, you didn't
you
do
could have been
that.
on vacation.
You could have been on
You could have owned your own home.
vacation.
And now I'm about to retire.
Now I'm about to.
What do I have to show for it?
What What do I have to show?
I have nothing to
I
show.
have nothing.
I have everything to show for it. I have two beautiful daughters who are still with me. I have a family. I share a loving family relationship.
I share a loving family relationship.
And it doesn't matter how well they get along at times.
Doesn't matter how well they get along at times.
They're my family.
They're my
And I am their family.
I'm their
We are one family.
We are one family.
And that's what's been important to me in this lifetime.
That's what's been important to me.
And that is more valuable to me than all the houses and vacations you
It's
could
more
give me.
value,
That's
that's
me
more
than
value
our
how
houses
many
and
vacation houses.
It really is.
It really is.
And that's what I fail to see.
And that's what I feel.
Because my ego is so busy comparing my life to other people's lives.
My ego is so busy comparing.
This is my life.
This is my life.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that
This is
matters.
my family's life.
This is my family.
And that's what's important to me.
That's what's
Vacations, anybody can go on them.
Vacations, anybody.
My vacation is in my own home.
My vacation.
It's a staycation.
It's a staycation.
And I stay with my family.
And I stay
I
with
love
them.
my girls.
I love
I love my life.
I love my life.
And my ego is the only problem with the whole
My
situation.
ego is the only problem with the whole
I
situation.
give that up now.
I give that up now.
Wait a minute, you're not giving me up so
You're
easily.
not giving me up.
I'm your ego and I tell you what to think.
I'm your ego and I tell you.
I tell you how lousy your life is.
I tell you
I compare your life with everybody else's life. Our life sucks.
Our life sucks.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget.
You don't have a house.
You don't
You
have
didn't
a
take
house.
vacations.
You didn't take vacations.
And you have two ingrateful girls.
Two ungrateful girls.
Ungrateful, I guess. And so what kind of a life do you have? Your life sucks. Don't forget that.
Your life sucks.
And the truth is, that's not the truth.
The truth is, that's not the truth.
The truth is, I love my girls,
The truth is.
and they love me,
They love me.
and we have a family.
We have a
And that's what's most important to me.
That's what's most important.
And I will not listen to that ego part of me ever again.
I will not listen to the ego part of me ever again.
Yes, it's causing all of your sufferings coming from your ego. I can guarantee that. The ego compares one thing to the next, one life to the next, one grapefruit to the next grapefruit. It always compares. That's what it's intended to do. There's nothing wrong with comparisons. We need that. Should I wear that tie or that suit or that suit, that top or that? It's always doing that. It's made to judge. That's what the ego's all about. The problem is we've been so conditioned, you've been so conditioned to listen to that you actually think that's who you are. That's what I'm trying to get across. The voice in the head that compares all the time is who you've started to become who you are. You've started to believe that's who you are because you listen to the voice in the head. But who is listening to the voice in the head? Yeah, I am. The I am presence from the Bible, where Abraham asked God from the burning bush, "Who shall I say has given me these tablets? Tell them I am that I am. Tell them I am that I am." And all that's about is the I am presence is God, basically. So anything that you put after the word God, after I am, is what you will get. That's the whole concept of the law of attraction, right? I am wealthy, and it just becomes that because it has no choice. So the part of you that's listening to the voice in your head is that consciousness. Pure consciousness is who you really are. Are you understanding that? Am I going on too much?
No.
Okay, so when you start to realize, wait a minute, if I'm listening to the voice, who is I? That's who I am. And I'm not the voice then. Can't be both. I'm not that voice in the head that's constantly comparing. I'm not that. I am this. This isness of being. That's what I am. Pure consciousness. Before the form of this body and mind, I am. Just pure isness. Pure consciousness, which is the essence of God. So what I'm saying to you is, who you really are is the consciousness behind the jabber of the conscious mind, of the ego mind. Ego mind says, well, I wish I had that instead of this, or I should. What if I did? It's all in the past. It's not real anymore. It's just the mind, just thoughts. when you start to see that, and the reason I talk about all this stuff all the time is because it starts to make sense when you start to use it interactively and you start really getting it. Say, oh, those are just thoughts about the past. Ha ha, that's got to be my ego because I'm only here now. None of that happened now. It's all from the past, right? So whenever it's in the past, it's your ego. Whenever it's in the future, it's your ego. Whenever it's judging, it's your ego. Those are strict definitions that you can adhere to. So you can actually identify it much more easily by saying, oh, I'm comparing what happened to their lives to what happened in my life. Well, that's my ego doing that. And who is it that's making this observation of the comparing voice? I am. Does that make any sense? Am I just beating you up again?
No. I don't know.
So the idea here is by taking one step back and saying, oh, that's just my ego doing this little thing. Then you can say, oh, you mean I don't need to do that? I don't need to follow that voice? Aha! That's the trick right there. That's the key. I don't have to follow the voice in my head. I can observe it. Say, I see you, ego. I see what you just did there. You're comparing again. Nice, ego. That's why I say, you start talking to the ego. Start saying, you know, I like that, but my ego's not real happy about it. It's a great admission. You know, my ego really wants me to compare my life. Here we go. So even though
Even though
my ego is not real happy with my life,
my ego's not real happy with my life,
I am.
I am.
Because I realize what I have.
I realize what I have.
I have 2 loving daughters.
I have 2 loving daughters.
They don't always feel loving,
They don't still loving.
but I know they love me.
I know they love
And
me.
I know I love them.
I know I love
And
them.
they're still in my life regularly.
They're still in my life.
I see them all the time.
See them all.
And that makes my heart happy.
Makes my heart happy.
Not always.
Not always.
But ultimately, when I look past all the drama,
Ultimately, when I look past all the drama,
I love them to death.
I love them.
They're my life.
They're
they're
my
my
life.
life.
And I love having them in my life.
I love having them in my life.
And that's the only thing that's really important to me.
That's the only thing that's really important.
All the rest of it is just my ego bitching.
All the rest of it is just my ego bitching.
Here we go, top of the head. So I really love my life.
I really love my life.
And the only time I don't is when I listen to my ego.
The only time I don't is when I listen to my ego.
And when it's busily comparing and bitching.
When it's
busily comparing.
When it's comparing my life to other lives.
Comparing my life.
And bitching about my 2 girls.
Bitching about my 2 girls.
Instead of focusing on all the love that I have with them.
Instead of focusing on all the love I have.
that I have.
And some of the times that are the best, are the simplest moments with them.
Are the simplest moments.
The daily regimen of life.
The daily regimen of life.
Just having them in my life makes me glad.
Just
Just having them in my life.
Gives me joy.
Gives me joy.
And that's what's been important in my life.
That's what's been
I just didn't really recognize it before.
I just didn't really
I
recognize
didn't
it.
realize how valuable it was to me.
I didn't realize how valuable
And I
it was.
didn't realize how grateful I was.
I didn't realize how grateful I was.
I am truly grateful that I've kept them in my life.
I'm truly grateful I kept them in my
And
life.
that circumstances have kept them in my life.
And circumstances that kept
I'm happy I have my family around me.
I'm happy I have my family around me.
That's all that's truly important to me.
That's all that's truly important to me.
Hands down, deep breath. You've made choices already. You've made the choices. Stop questioning them
Beating yourself up.
and beating yourself up for it or anything else. Just enjoy it. You have your girls. Enjoy them. Really say, wow, this has been much better than I ever realized. And you know what I was telling about finding 3 things to be grateful for? You got 2 out of 3 already made. And now, you know, I understand that when I say that, I look at your face and you go, yeah, you don't understand what I go through all the time. But I do. But I know one thing for sure. You've made choices all along the way. The choice is to have them there with you, or you wouldn't have them, I guarantee it. You'd find a way. Even as I told you of a way to do it right now, you just, I don't want to hear that. You know, that's why I try to make, conscious mind suggestions, But if it doesn't work for you, then recognize that you're making a choice. And start to embrace the choice that you've made is all I'm saying. Embrace the fact, look what I have my kids with me. And you could point at me and say, you don't have any, do you? You have a big house, you don't have any kids, do you? Does this big house make you happy? Or do you think you'd be more happy if you had a couple kids right now? You follow? Consider that, because I consider it, I'll tell you right now. And there are many nights when I say, I really wish I had a family. This house doesn't make me happy, it's just an obligation, a responsibility. And your kids are an obligation, and responsibility. Which do you think is more satisfying? From your position, you'll tell me the house. From my position, I tell you the kids.
How about we adapt you? You'll have everything.
Yeah, I've got all the room in the world for them all, right? All I'm saying to you is that just consider a different approach to how you see it. Because it's really all about how you see it. It is, it has to be. There's no choice. And right now what's happening is you haven't made your mind up one way or the other. If you just simply say, you know what, screw the house, I'm not going to get a house. Who cares? I need to mow the lawn. I've got my kids. That's more important to me than any house. And when you finally put it into real words like that, it starts to make more sense. And then you can be happier. Because the whole idea is being happy where you're at, not where you might be at in the future or where you should have been at, but where you're at right now. Okay? All right, Peter, how you doing?
Well, I got something out of that last tap about the comparing yourself to others, because I've been doing a lot of that lately. So.
Good. Good. Actually, these have been good taps because they're a lot about the ego and starting to see the ego for what it really is, which is really what this is all about. When we really can see the ego for what it's doing, when it's doing it, that's awareness. That's awakening. And then you awaken from the dream of the ego. See, this is just an ego dream. What you're going through is just a dream of the ego. It sees it one way, it sees it the other way. It's just unhappy, period. That's a dream. If you start to say, well, what am I really grateful for? And that's why I mentioned gratitude in the first place. I'm grateful I've got 2 wonderful kids here. Yeah, they've got problems, they got this, but they're basically healthy, they're basically beautiful, and they're basically my kids. And that brings me a great deal of joy. Even in my unhappiness, it brings me joy. So, I mean, that's how I'm seeing it lately. So thank you for coming tonight, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place, as we tap along together in this Borrowing Benefits group here at the Center for Inner Healing. You can also catch us on the web at Ted Robinson EFT, and on Google Plus Hangouts for Ted Robinson EFT. We're on Sundays at 8 p.m. generally during the summertime, during daylight savings time, and 7 o'clock the rest of the year. So you can find us in a lot of different places. The last place is at centerforinnerhealing.com. See you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.